morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks. On Tuesday, the 28th day of November, year of our Lord 2017, welcome to the John Moore Show. Prepper tip of the day. I want to encourage all of you to make up your 2018 training schedule. I think this would be a good time to do that. We only got 4 weeks left in the year. And at the same time, make up your list of preparedness goals for 2018. It's going to be different things for different people, obviously, and you need to customize your training schedule to fit the needs of you and your group, and of course, your preparedness goals, just as the same thing. Customize your preparedness goals for you and your group. We have open lines this first hour. Take your questions, calls, and comments at 800-313-9443. Second hour, we'll have Leon Green with us, and we'll talk about the things that Leon and I talk about every week. You never know what we're going to get when Leon and I talk. Okay. It looks like at the national level, there's some things about to cut loose in terms of the FBI investigation, emails, and all that. It looks pretty positive at the moment. That could change. But it looks pretty positive at the moment that we may finally get some resolution, some proper resolution. I'm looking forward to that. I know many of you are as well. Okay, let's talk about this past year and what's coming up. The election of Donald Trump, which took place just over a year ago, is taking office 11 months ago, caught the New World Order by surprise. That was not supposed to happen. They thought because of all the voter fraud and illegal immigrants, we even had the President of the United States encouraging criminals. Now, if you're in this country illegally, you're by definition a criminal. Encouraging criminals to vote. Criminal aliens, illegal aliens, encouraging them to vote. I don't believe that's ever happened before. Pretty sure it has not. Despite their voter fraud, which was extensive, the illegal aliens, the people voting 2 and 3 and 4 times, dead people voting, and so forth, Donald Trump still won. Thank goodness for the Electoral College. Liberals hate the Electoral College, by the way. They want democracy. The Electoral College was designed to prevent us from becoming a democracy. Now, if you're new to this information, you need to do your homework. You'll hear high-level officials use the word democracy all the time, referring to our republic as a democracy. And that's what they want. They want mob rule. That's what democracy is. There's lots of ways to define it, but one way it's kind of funny is democracy is 2 wolves and a sheep deciding what to have for dinner. Well, you know how that's going to work out, don't you? Yes, thank goodness for the Electoral College. The founding fathers were wise men. Many of them had classic educations, could translate Latin into English, could translate Greek into English. They could read Latin. They could read Greek. They knew history. They knew human behavior. They understood human behavior and human nature. They crafted the U.S. Constitution with all those things in mind, knowing that every previous democracy, and there have been a number, every previous democracy had failed for the following reason. At some point, the people figure out how to get money out of the public treasury for themselves. Once they do that, it's all over. It's just a matter of usually a fairly short period of time before everything collapses. And that's the end of the democracy. Unfortunately, that seems to be the direction we're headed. Can Donald Trump stem the tide of what's been going on for decades? Reverse the policies of 2 Bush presidents, a Clinton president, and a Hussein Obama president. Can he do that? I don't know. I like to be optimistic. I'd like to say I hope he can. I do hope he can. I pray that he can. We may have lost already. It appears the culture war is over and we lost. It appears the drug war is over and we lost. It appears the political war is over and not quite lost, but not far from it. That's my opinion based on my observations, my knowledge, and so forth. So I believe we would all be very wise to pray for the success of Donald Trump on one hand, while on the other hand, we prepare for what appears to be inevitable, at least an economic collapse. That is inevitable. Even Donald Trump can't change these numbers. As brilliant as the man is, as good as he is at making deals, even he can't change these numbers. The numbers being the debt, which grows exponentially, and the ability to pay off the debt, or at least pay the interest on the debt. I don't see how that can happen. I've not seen any valid method for resolving the issue of the national debt. I simply have not. If you're aware of one, and I don't want to hear about NESARA, that's a fantasy. That's a rabbit trail. I know people, and God bless them. I know they want to see this happen, something like NESARA, and the same people sometimes are thinking that the Iraqi dinar is going to make them wealthy. There's lots of rabbit trails out there, and whimsical things that people get caught up in. I really make a diligent attempt to stay in reality myself. I think that's a good place to be. At least for myself it is, and I hope for most of you. So what does this look like? Praying for Donald Trump and preparing for the worst. Well, here's what it looks like. First of all, you do pray. You pray for Donald Trump. You pray for our Congress. They need prayers. Pray for our country. And you do prepare. I'm sticking by my guns when it comes to the best way to get through hard times. That being a hobby farm. A hobby farm that's 100 miles or more from a major metropolitan area that is self-sufficient as possible. Self-sufficient meaning that they have their own water that they have and control. They're not dependent on somebody else for water. A place to grow enough food for all the people that live at the hobby farm. Hopefully the hobby farm will be paid off. That would be a great thing if it had no debt against it. So what is a hobby farm? As compared to a commercial farm. A commercial farm usually grows or raises a limited number of agricultural products. Frequently on the bigger ones, it's only one. Or maybe they alternate between corn one year and soybeans the next. Is something that happens a lot. Wheat might be another one. The grains, the big grains, corn, wheat, soybeans. Our beef. Nothing wrong with that. It's a good business, good family business to be in, and a healthy lifestyle. But it's not a hobby farm. Those pursuits are meant to sell for income to do everything else the family wants to do with their proceeds from their efforts. What's created on a hobby farm in terms of produce, it could be fruit, vegetables, grains, eggs, chickens, milk, whatever it is. It's primarily meant for consumption on the premises. They may, now some of the families I know, one family locally, they have what I would call a hobby farm, and they also have a milk business, a retail milk business, selling raw, unpasteurized milk, which can be done in Missouri if you follow the guidelines, It can be done legally. And they've expanded that to eggs, so they deliver fresh raw milk to their customers and eggs. And they also, of course, have beef cattle as well as milk for the personal consumption, and eggs and chicken for personal consumption. And they also grow fruits and vegetables. And I would call that a hobby farm, despite having a couple of products that they do sell for monetary gain. There's no one-size-fits-all definition of a hobby farm, but that's basically what it is. Now, if you're an urban dweller and don't know very much about farming, I include myself in that. I'm not a farmer. Don't pretend to be. You're gonna have to either learn how to do it yourself or associate yourself with people who already know how to do that and become their able assistant, following their directions for preparing the soil, planting the seedlings in the little cups that seedlings go in, then planting the seedlings in the garden, and all those things that go into gardening. If you're raising grapes, you have to know how and where to plant your grapes. Same thing with fruit trees. There's good places to plant fruit trees and horrible places to plant fruit trees. And your farmer teacher, who is a farmer, can teach you these things as you work. You'll be working probably for no pay, just to gain the knowledge. Most farmers, or many farmers, would like to have extra help in exchange for them teaching you how to do this. So how do you get to be part of a hobby farm? Well, there's basically two ways. Either you can buy a homestead to create your own hobby farm, or you can become part of one that already exists. They're both viable options. Starting from scratch is daunting. It is very daunting, to say the least. And we got a caller on hold here. We got Glenn in Philadelphia. Good morning, Glenn.
Good morning, John. Hi. Yes, I heard what you were saying about democracy, and I find myself discussing that with people quite a lot. Hang on. I changed from my Bluetooth to my phone, so it might sound a little better. I'm fond.
Go ahead.
Sounds what?
You have good audio. Go ahead.
Good, very good. I often find myself saying to family and friends when they slip into the democracy thing that democracy is a degenerative state of affairs that immediately precedes chaos and eventually tyranny as a response to the chaos. And, it's clearly something that doesn't work. And, this isn't something they teach in high school civics or social studies or even in college. They market democracy. And it's clearly, the tyranny, these Democrats, these leftists, certainly seem to be more like communists. And by advocating democracy, that, eventually, as you say, everybody, it leads to ruination. And then I really think that, they would like to institute communism or fascism or some sort of totalitarian oligarchy for this global government. And, all we can, do is fight to stave this off as long as possible. But, it seems like the prospects for actually getting some sort of renaissance or return to constitutional, a constitutional republic, and the laws being followed. The prospects don't seem very good given the degenerative moral state of man and our leaders. They don't want it. They don't want it. To limit some. There is
several constitutional amendments need to be eliminated. One of the main ones being the direct election of U.S. senators. That was a horrible, horrible thing they did. And having a U.S. senator accountable to the governor and the state reps and state senators is the way it was and the way it should be. The senators are supposed to represent the states, and the congressmen represent the people. That was a good and proper way for the Constitution to be written. And the possibility of changing that is, I'd say, slim to none. What do you think, Glenn?
Right. Oh, I definitely agree. You look at that. Really, it's sort of almost an extension of the British House of Lords versus House of Commons. It's the same thing. But the chances of reinstituting that effectively, given the level of corruption. I mean, ultimately, it's this corruption that prevents it. But I forget what.
When Ron Paul was a congressman, he had a coalition of about 17 or 18 congressmen that all agreed to go with the guidelines of Article 1, Section 8, which lists about 18 or 19 things that Congress can spend money on and nothing else. That's the teeth of the Constitution, is Article 1, Section 8, the money spending authority. And James Madison wrote Article 1, Section 8, and James Madison was later in Congress, about 1818, and he's on the record, and of course it's all well documented. He basically chewed out Congress for referring to the introductory sentence as a clause, giving, or it makes reference to the general welfare. It's called the General Welfare Clause. It's not a clause, and that's what James Madison said, the author of that. He says, "Gentlemen, if I meant this to be a clause to allow you to spend money on anything you want, why would I bother writing the rest of this?"
Right. Yep. I'd like to hold, if I may, John.
That's fine. Hold over. We got a break. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 28th of November. Glenn, let's continue. What's your comment, sir?
Sure. John, every time a good man like H. Ross Perot or Dr. Ron Paul rises up, they get silenced, smacked down, and threatened. And the people who do so should be careful what they wish for, because they just might get it. For Dr. Ron Paul's trouble, they jokingly referred to him as Dr. No, because he's a doctor, right. And he said no to unconstitutional spending. And
that's right.
I'm amazed his son is a good man, but he's not his father, and so we would need 40 or 50 Ron Pauls to produce anything effective in Congress,
Right.
And
Yeah.
it seems to be a dearth of that kind of talent, Now,
Well,
as to the economy, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
No, oh, okay, no, I didn't mean to cut you off, sorry. But as to the economy and the debt, actually, there is a quite ancient and effective solution to that problem. There's nothing new about this. It's just a matter of, having the wisdom to do it. In the case of the Jews, following the law of the Old Testament, the Romans practiced the Jubilee, and the Jews before them practiced the same thing called the Shemitah. And it's a resetting of the economy. It's a culture-wide debt forgiveness. You just hit the reboot button, restart, and wipe the slate clean. Breeding indentured servants, indentured land, reverts to its original owner. And this is because this is the nature of monetary systems. And but yes, the people, these horribly greedy, violent, deceptive, self-destructive and other destructive people who run the monetary systems of today, and the central banks, and simply will not utilize this system that works.
That's not going to happen.
They could do this and still remain billionaires, millionaires. They could still live in the lap of luxury, and they wouldn't lose their perks. If they would simply have mercy on the rest of society, they themselves would be buoyed up by the rising tide raises all ships. But no, they refuse. They insist on bringing war, death, and destruction. And the reason a war is probable is because the economic failure, which is inevitable, is imminent, and they use wars to cover this up, and they say, oh, well, the economy is failing because of the war. And so this they go to war to take the spoils of other countries, and when their own economies are failing, they go to war to cover it up. And this is what puts us in such a precarious situation.
It certainly does. Anything else, Glenn?
I could do something totally different on healthcare for just a minute. If
you're a healthcare professional. What's your take on health?
Well, I'm also recently a healthcare beneficiary. I once again just recently had yet another. I had a short hospitalization back in 2016, and I had one recently because of a severe diverticulitis. That is what it was. But I'm a healthcare eclectic, John. I'm in agreement with many of the things that people who are against allopathy, allopathic medicine, with especially what they say about, especially about the out of control pharmaceutical realm is obviously ridiculous. But there's a lot of being an eclectic. I mean, it means I try not to throw the baby out with the bathwater on either side of the equation. And fortunately, I had a severe problem. I ended up going in the hospital for 2 days, and here I am back on my feet, able to return to work, able to do what I want to do, and feeling quite a lot better. And what happened to me was basically, the previous time was an injury. This time, this was like, this is one of those deals where I would suggest that people do as I say, not as I do, because of long-term overwork, insufficient rest, led to my immune system being weakened. I ended up with some inflammatory process and infection, and then debilitating pain. And this is overwork and under rest. And I actually led to this significant setback, but thank God it bounced back from it. So I have to give credit where credit is due, and I'm thankful that I had access to the IV antibiotics and things like that help me, IV fluids, the conscientious caregivers, and the diagnostics and all that. And I know you're not against that, but again, that was it. I take an eclectic approach,
Okay. All right.
I'm grateful for the
Glenn, we are glad you had a good outcome. We do appreciate the call.
Yeah.
Thank you, Glenn. 5-hour break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 28th of November. My website is thelibertyman.com. Our project, and it is truly our project. I could not possibly look at 250,000 hours or more of movies and TV shows the last 60 years. Our project of finding images of continents with new coastlines on movies and TV shows continues to move forward. The most recent one was just posted day before yesterday. It's a documentary about Scientology and L. Ron Hubbard. And you've got L. Ron in a brown tuxedo standing next to a globe. And the globe clearly has no Florida and no Baja California. If you find a continent with new coastlines on a movie or TV show, get the screen capture to me, and you get your choice of any of my 5 DVDs as a thank you. I just shipped out the DVD yesterday to the gentleman who found the one with L. Ron Hubbard and the continent North America with no Florida and no Baja California. Also, my website, of course, Energy Cleaners. The sale went great. I sold out everything. I'll be restocking as the week progresses here to take care of all the orders. A marvelous healing device. That's what the energy cleaner is. I'm working with the wife of a friend of mine. She has severe pain issues, and I've been coaching her to help her achieve her goal. I've been working with Diane Zerger, coaching her to help her achieve her goal of pain mitigation. The energy cleaner, we focus on 2 things: pain mitigation and getting a great night's sleep. It could be our joint pain, arthritis pain, back pain, doesn't matter. It will probably help. Not getting a great night's sleep, probably help there also. Only $285, shipping included, American zip code. Most people these days go ahead and get a mattress pad from the get-go. I don't want to mess around with aluminum screen wire, which I don't blame them. I tried that. That's not very good. So you can research the energy cleaner at my website at thelibertyman.com, the patent application, the wonderful testimonials from people we know. And then go ahead and make your purchase using PayPal, the most secure way to make any payment online, MasterCard, Visa. And you can send me a check, of course. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. I have a toll-free hour line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Take your questions, calls, and comments here at Republic Broadcasting at 800-313-9443. And we have a caller on hold. We got Tom in Utah. Good morning, Tom.
Can you hear me, John?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear. What's on your mind?
I do apologize to the RBN listeners because they probably heard this and it's a little redundant, but I wanted to make sure you are aware of a situation that I'd exposed. I call myself the pathology grunt now.
Okay.
But I've identified a poisoning issue that impacts some as much as 34 million, and that is the families living in manufactured and mobile homes. Are you in Missouri? Or I thought I heard you say you're in the
Missouri.
Ozarks.
In the Missouri Ozarks, right. Right.
Okay. I know there's a lot of families that live in manufactured or mobile homes, and they have not known since 1976 that they've been put at risk because of a error or a deliberate error put in place by HUD and forced upon the entire manufactured mobile home industry, where they literally are breathing air from their own furnaces and sometimes their water heaters, and settled to serious levels. In fact, we just had another death over here just 10 miles from me of a man found dead in his bed in his trailer or mobile home. And they listed his death as heart attack precipitated by asphyxiation, precipitated by aspiration. In other words, he was nauseous and asleep in a coma, quite frankly. And so he breathed his own vomit. That caused him to, not be able to get air, and then his heart failed.
Right.
So they listed his death as heart failure.
Right.
But in reality, when a friend of mine saw the situation, he was actually his friend. She realized that his situation matched those of the families that I've been exposing in this. GassingAmerica.com. I don't know if you've had a chance to hear me and examine the evidence on GassingAmerica.com.
So what are the toxic gases in these mobile homes?
Well, there's the number one issue I'd exposed. In fact, I'd actually gone down to New Orleans after Katrina at the invitation of a really good law enforcement officer down there who'd actually been asked to be a placement officer for those FEMA trailers.
Right.
So, and they were shocked when they found out it wasn't just formaldehyde from the original products that were illegally used in the construction of those units. But literally, they were breathing the fumes of their own furnaces, and in these small trailers, they were using propane as a cooking.
Carbon monoxide. We're talking carbon monoxide here.
Carbon monoxide is the number one toxin.
Okay.
Coming from the combustion of any carbon-based fuel. But number two poison is formaldehyde.
Right.
Whenever you're producing carbon monoxide, that's CO. You're always producing where there's any water in the air, humidity in the air, you're always producing formaldehyde, which is H2CO,
right,
or H2OC, along with nitrous oxide and, depending upon the fuel, sulfur dioxide, other toxins. But anyway, anybody that's living in a manufactured or mobile home is at risk if that unit has been built in the last 42 years. That's really the shocker. And then, of course, the other problem is if you're being poisoned in your mobile home with these naturally produced exhaust fume gases, why is not the medical profession showing up and with a loud trumpet saying there's a problem? Well, in 1976, when this law was put in place that forced the entire mobile home industry, manufactured home industry, to illegally vent these units, at the same time, medicine made a left turn, and they no longer diligently test for the natural or normal environmental toxins. That protects industry, that protects this industry. It also produces a lot more money for medicine. If you're misdiagnosed from breathing carbon monoxide, instead they treat you for depression, heart disease, or respiratory disease, they make more money. But also, that provides an opportunity for Child Protective Services to come into that fray. And you can see that if you get a chance, John, go into my website. I have a couple of pseudonames or aliases. I call it Manufactured Madness or HUD Hell or Poisoning the Poor. Any one of those will get you into that. I'm hoping that my website is good. I don't know if you knew I was assaulted and left blind after I testified to this and exposed it in D.C. So I didn't know that my website had been corrupted for 2 years until just recently. A couple of weeks ago, a friend told me my video and my media presentations on there were not working. So hopefully they're working now, and you can go in there. And I know a lot of the preppers are pondering or are often utilize mobile homes as a remote housing unit or emergency housing. So if they know this problem, they can remedy it. It's kind of like you can play in the freeway all day long as long as you're not blindfolded. But if you're blindfolded, you don't know that there's a vehicle coming at you, you get killed. But if you got your vision, you can move out of the way when that truck goes by and go back and sit down in that lane and play your what do you call it, jacks.
Right.
Whatever.
Well,
anyway,
Tom, I've personally installed a number of propane furnaces myself, and it should be simply a matter of making sure the ventilation pipe, the exhaust pipe, is installed properly so that those toxic fumes go outside as opposed to going inside. Is there something I'm missing here?
Yes. You cannot believe how insidiously this one was pulled off. If you look at my website, or if you look at a trailer that's anywhere between 76 and currently, if it's heated with propane or natural gas, or even in some cases oil or coal stokered, you'll notice on the roof there will be a vent pipe exhausting. There'll be an exhaust for the furnace combustion. And 3 feet away, there will be another pipe, a singular cap pipe, and that pipe happens to be what's called a blend air intake. In other words, when the blower fan of that furnace is operating, it's circulating or recirculating the air of the trailer, right, or the mobile home, manufactured home.
Right.
But at the same time, there's a secondary port, and there's a flexible tube generally that runs up to the roof and about 3 feet laterally, and then up and into this jack that is an intake for fresh air, allegedly fresh air, brought in from outside on the roof, but only 3 feet away from the exhaust of that very same furnace. And in many floor plans, a water heater may be mounted next to it. So when the weather conditions are right, you're literally siphoning in the fumes of your own furnace or your water heater, and in some cases even sewer vents nearby. And that's brought in, mingled with the air that's recirculating in the furnaces, and then distributed to the rooms in that trailer. So you're literally breathing a blend of the air inside the trailer being heated, but also this air brought in from outside from only 3 feet away from your furnace exhaust.
Okay.
Nobody in their right mind would ever place themselves or their child or their loved ones 3 feet away from any vehicle exhaust pipe and expect to be healthy at the end of a winter. Anyway, sorry for kind of going on this, but with this death just a few miles away from me, it just bothers me that nobody's done anything. I've testified to this in D.C. Every senator, every representative, the president at the time was Obama, and every agency got a report from the Government Accountability Office and the CDC. I miraculously got the women, my old friends, to actually force the investigation of my claim, and the CDC validated the finding. So that's a miracle. Getting the CDC to validate a truth is a real miracle. You know that, John, right?
Right. It is. So the solution would be to have the fresh air intake farther away from the exhaust, it sounds like to me.
Yeah. No other agency in the world or in America will allow you to put an intake, breathing air, of any form, 3 feet from any toxic or noxic exhaust. Yet HUD deliberately forced the entire industry, I don't care whether it's Clayton Homes or Beechwood or whoever, Fleetwood or Boise Cascade, whoever's producing that mobile or manufactured home unit, if they forced that entire industry to do this, where they would put this blend air intake, the breathing air is what it is, or supplemental air. This intake is mounted 3 feet away from the furnace exhaust.
Well,
and as you can see in the,
I don't know how they could do that. Something sounds really off there to me, that they would force this air intake to be so near the exhaust vent. That just doesn't sound right to me. Right.
That's the problem I've had. Nobody wants to believe that anyone would be that malicious. And then to have medicine deliberately, hijacked and written in a way, and I'm talking about called best practices or medical protocols, so that the deliberate or diligence in testing for carbon monoxide and the other natural environmental toxins is pushed way back under the radar. My mother and father nearly died. They were living in a trailer down in Zuni, New Mexico. And they were drugged to the hospital. They both had an event where they were nauseous and sickened, and they were drugged to the hospital in Holbrook, Arizona. And when the medical people had examined them, they claimed that my mother and father both had a heart attack in the same hour. What's the odds of that, John?
Well, about the same as winning the lottery, I'd say.
Yet, since I could not get down there and examine or challenge their findings, we kind of had to go along with it. And by the time that winter had finished, well, my mother and dad were down helping some Zuni relatives. We went through $100,000, about $50,000 for my mother and $50,000 for my dad. If we'd have known it was a ventilation problem on that trailer, we could have corrected it. We'd have had one trip to the hospital probably. That would be it. But when it's all said and done, since I had not been able to identify the problem or realize that this was a problem, my mother and father, thankfully they survived that, but they bounced in and out of that hospital 12 times through that winter. You'd think that somebody would...
Well, they kept getting poisoned again. And carbon monoxide is cumulative. And you may be old enough to remember, Doctor, there was I believe it was Philadelphia in the 1970s. There were 2 police officers that had their patrol car had a exhaust leak. That they kept getting sicker and sicker, flu-like symptoms. They were getting carbon monoxide poisoning, and finally they just both dropped over dead one day from the accumulation of carbon monoxide in a patrol car. It's colorless, tasteless, odorless, and it does accumulate in the blood over time, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It's very tenacious. And we've had people that when I worked in pathology back in the 60s, the 50s, 60s, and 70s, I'm 76, we would regularly test for carbon monoxide in the wintertime because that was a common cause of environmental poisoning. That has been eliminated. And like you're saying, we would have patients who would be exposed to low level or subtle levels, and after a couple of months they would be in trouble. We've had people actually put back into fresh air and then 2 or 3 months later drop dead because of the deep tissue poisoning that occurs with carbon monoxide. It's not just your blood issue. It's when it crosses the tissue barriers, like into the brain, those Those acids, literally, nobody talks about those that are created by carbon monoxide.
Doctor, we have a break, Doctor. We have a break. You want to hold on? We'll be back after the break. Stay tuned, everybody.
Okay.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 28th of November. Tom, we got about 3 minutes here to wrap up your thoughts, sir.
Well, I'm just praying that everybody would look at that website. I know they don't want to believe it, and their doctors are not telling them the truth. And by the way, one really important factor to know is the same industries that are involved in this criminal act also control the manufacture of the carbon monoxide alarms. In other words, people say, well, I have a carbon monoxide alarm in my home. That'll protect me. No, it will not. OSHA
Really?
would remove you from your space if there are 50 parts per million, but those alarms you buy from Home Depot or wherever else you buy them, Ludlow's, whatever, they do not sound until they exceed 200 to 400 parts per million. That's 4 times or 8 times the level that OSHA considers dangerous for you.
Really?
By the way, that's 8 times to 16 times the level that the CDC would consider safe for a woman who's carrying a fetus in utero, or her infant at her side, or a toddler on the floor by her, or your elderly folks that already have respiratory or cardiorespiratory issues. So the carbon monoxide alarms are.
Is there a carbon monoxide detector that actually detects the lower levels?
There are some that are digital, but they're more expensive. Now, if you want to get a real one, I tell you what, you have to find this company in California and spend $500 to $1,000 for a really effective alarm that's going to protect you at 20 parts per million or less. See, that's what a fetus is affected by. You know, a baby that's born with a smoking mother is low birth weight, low intelligence, and it's the carbon monoxide in her cigarette smoke that sets up that infant for that damage.
Right. What's the name of the company in California, if you know, sir?
I don't know. I think I have it on my website. If you go into license to kill, go into license-to-kill.us. That's the hardcore site.
Okay.
And of course that was built
up.
Yeah. So John, when you get a chance, look at that, and you might call me off air, and I can take you through details that I could not or dare not publish in that website, including the number one housing instrument of the undocumented. That's
okay, well, give my engineer your telephone number, and we can talk, Tom. Appreciate it.
It's on the website.
Okay. All right.
I think Kyle or whoever's at the board knows my number.
Okay.
I've been rather pesky with this whole thing, but I worry about the safety and well-being of my fellow patriots.
Well, I appreciate that, Tom. We really do, and we do thank you for your call, sir. All right.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. We got a top of the hour break coming up here in less than 2 minutes. Fascinating call. I've installed a number of natural gas and propane furnaces, but I've never seen a second vent to draw in fresh air from the outside. That's something new to me. I know that a properly installed wood furnace will use outside air to combust the wood as opposed to the air not inside the house. Okay, top of the hour break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Our second hour here. J.R. Moore on Tuesday, the 28th of November. A prep tip of the day. I want to encourage all of you to begin making up your 2018 training schedule for yourself and your team, and also your preparedness goals for 2018. It's time to do that. The 2018 is only, a little more than 4 weeks away. It'll be here pretty quick. And that's your prepper tip of the day. We have patient waiting in the green room, my friend Leon Green. Leon is a gentleman who's taken the time, made the effort to become quite knowledgeable in all the many ways that doTERRA essential oils can help people have the fun, full, happy, productive life that we all want to have. And we're going to talk about doTERRA oils and totally unrelated topics, as we do most Tuesdays. Good morning, Leon.
Good morning, John. How you doing, sir? How was your Thanksgiving?
It was pretty good. Good food. No family fights. How about yourself, sir?
I was with a friend. I know it's seen by family fights, and so I am actually working on the prepper tip of the day as well. And I actually have a big calendar, and I've just gone down the list of all these training sites that I'm going to work with. And it's funny, and now I carry the calendar around. I'm just going to post it right next to my dartboard and start working on that. So, and it's really funny that a lot of the companies that are doing it, they're procrastinating. They haven't even put it up for next year. And I'm like, I'm going to be booking this, and the longer they wait, the less likely I'm going to be able to get in there. So it's less likely I'm going to be able to book it because I've already booked it elsewhere. So I know it's important to get those training things going.
It is, and this is a time to be doing it. Our local preparedness group, we outlined our training for 2018 at our last business meeting, and it's been well received. It's going to be a good schedule, one Saturday a month, typically the first Saturday, unless there's a holiday conflict. Sometimes the training is 4 hours, sometimes it's all day, and we may have a full weekend once or twice during the year. But it's important to have training and for people to acquire skills, isn't it, Leon?
Absolutely. I mean, yesterday I just got an email from the local Denver CERT, and it said emergency communications and the mistakes and errors and challenges they will have. And so I sent it to my friend. He was like, "Oh, I love to go, but I want to book for two appointments then." But I said I'm going to go anyway and attend, because that's one thing we are working on is getting the comm set up for our group. And we have all the hardware. We need to get all the software and the freaks and everything intact and actually start training with it. So it's good to have the items. It's even better to know how they work and to use them in advance, because when it comes to comms, you don't want to have your first communication while you have incoming trying to decide what to do.
Right. Absolutely. Well, and of course, in all these pursuits that we're talking about, there's a role for the essential oils as well, isn't there?
Yes, sir. I mean, even taking, in today's, the essential oil of the day is frankincense, and we'll go more in depth on that later. But that one is very good for mental clarity. It is a fantastic oil in that regard. So you can use many different oils for focus and attention and memory. And so they have direct application in all sorts, in all aspects of preparedness.
Absolutely. If you've got a question or comment about essential oils, give us a call here at Republic Broadcasting at 800-313-9443. Well, as you know, Leon, my wife, Dr. Moore, is in charge of ordering the essential oils for the Moore family. Our inventory continues to grow a little bit each month, and doTERRA does what they can to encourage people to grow their inventory with buy one, get one offers, where if you buy one oil, you get another one at no extra charge. And there's lots of ways and different incentives, aren't there?
Absolutely. And right now, this is the end of it. The end of November is they're going to stop the first ever 20% off on certain enrollment kits. They've never had that in 11 years of existence. That they say, okay, you do this, we're going to give you 20% off. I've never seen them do that. So that's definitely something to take advantage of. And you and I had come up with this incentive, as well as anyone who gets these kits, the Home Essential Kit or the Essential Solution Kit, they will also get a free training certificate. It gives them 4 days out at Front Site, out in Nevada, of whatever they choose, handgun, rifle, or shotgun. Then if they get the the natural solutions, they get 2 of those. So they can actually do one say they want to do shotgun and rifle. So that's totally up to them. And then they also get a free gun rental. So if they don't even have a specific platform, they can always use the certificate to practice on that platform if they never even had it. Say they've done 870s, they don't even know what a Mossberg works like. So they, it gives them some flexibility to try it for 4 days. So it's pretty neat.
Right, and that's special from doTERRA ends Thursday evening at midnight, the 31st.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Well, okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is your heads up. You got today, tomorrow, and Thursday to take advantage of this promotion from doTERRA. And well, then it's when it's over, right, Leon?
Absolutely. And so this is a one-time event. I can't promise they'll do that ever again because I was blown away to hear that. And just to show the impact, this has been a record-selling month for doTERRA worldwide. So it's impacted the company that much. So definitely take advantage of it. Absolutely.
Now, if you buy one of these kits, you get a training certificate provided by Leon and myself, mostly Leon, by the way. And that training certificate's for our front site out there near Las Vegas, Nevada. And you get your choice of a course for a rifle or a shotgun or a pistol from the real experts, men who have been there, done that, got the T-shirt, right, Leon?
Absolutely. There's a man named Bishop. I mean, I remember listening to him. He was a range master, and he talked about, climbing Mount Everest, and, he was prior military, and he was, he also did halo jumps. So you have people that have the whole gamut, SWAT officers. So you have experts teaching you, and they go into respiratory pause, and teaching you how to focus before you pull. And so, or before you squeeze the trigger. And so it goes in depth on all the nuances. And so they even have private classes. So if that's something you want to pursue in the future, we can talk about that as well. So I have a lifetime membership, and I've been able to go over 88 times, and I've already booked another 15 in the next 4 months. So it is something I do on a regular basis. And I coordinated around things like the conventions with doTERRA or the leadership summits in Southern California, as well as SHOT Show. So you can have fun, you can learn, and you can continue to improve your skills across the board.
Absolutely. And I know with my own students teaching concealed carry, many of the men have bad habits they've accumulated over years, sometimes decades, where the women, especially the novices, come into the class with no bad habits. And frequently, these women are easier to teach because they don't have bad habits to unlearn, or breaking an existing habit is difficult. And that plays into healthcare also. People have a habit of going to a medical doctor, seeking a diagnosis and a pill to correct whatever it is that's ailing them, as opposed to taking charge of themselves, doing their own independent homework and research, and seeking the help of what I like to advocate is a chiropractor who specializes in nutrition, many of whom are using doTERRA essential oils, by the way, in their practice, Leon, and going to the root cause of the issue as opposed to just making symptoms go away. And that's what we do with the doTERRA essential oils. We go to the root cause and help correct the root cause, don't we, Leon?
Absolutely. And see, whereas many of the pharmaceutical drugs will mask the symptoms, they don't really address the underlying cause. So if you can get rid of the underlying issue, whether it's a fungus like Candida, or you're dealing with like ulcers. I mean, they've confirmed that ulcers are caused. The vast majority of them are caused by a bacteria called H. pylori. But, for years it's attached to stress, but it was actually addressed by that. So if you can get rid of the symptoms and the underlying cause, that's the way to go. Whereas most cases, they just put a Band-Aid over it. It's like putting a Band-Aid or a piece of black tape over your engine light. It doesn't make it go away. It just gives you the feeling of, okay, I got rid of the symptoms, but if you don't have oil in your car, eventually the car will seize up. So it's important that you address the underlying issue.
It is. It is, absolutely. That is not optional. It is not optional. Well, Leon, I've got my copy of Modern Essentials here, the 5th edition, and then a few feet away, the 8th edition. I haven't got yet. I probably should go ahead and get the 9th edition now that I think about it. But ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get started with the doTERRA essential oils like Leon and myself do, incorporating them into your daily life, two things. First of all, send me an email. My email address is thelibertyman@aol.com. Second of all, get yourself a copy of two different editions of the same book, the 5th edition and the 9th edition, which was just published last month. The book titled Modern Essentials, available from Amazon.com and other places. Of course, any good bookstore can order it for you. The 5th edition and the 9th edition of Modern Essentials. When you've got those two tools, you're ready to move forward with the reference material you need, the access to the doTERRA oils, which are food grade, and no warnings on them not to consume them internally, right, Leon?
Yes, sir. And actually, there's food grade, which is the third highest level. What's unique about doTERRA, it's actually certified pure therapeutic grade. That means it has medicinal and medical properties. Whereas food grade, you could squeeze an orange in southern Florida, and it would smell very similar to the best orange in the world, which comes from the Dominican Republic, which has the best antiviral properties. It has the best medicinal properties. So, I just want to correct you in that regard. Or add-on is saying that when you have therapeutic grade, you actually have medicinal grade in which doctors can use it, knowing specifically the response that will occur when you use it. So, it is the highest quality oils in the world, period. They do over 15 tests by 2 outside certified laboratories to verify things like, the gas chromatograph, mass spectrometry, microbial, heavy metals. They do all these tests. When you ask other companies about it, they will just look at you with their eyes crossed because most responses, we're not going to spend that money on it. Here, these are oils. Don't you trust us? And that's just like the government saying, don't you trust us with $19 trillion? So, all right.
I know.
We want to give you all the information, and on each of the bottles now, there's actually a code in which you can go to this website, source2u.com, and you can see where that bottle was made and the molecular content of it, the breakdown, the terpenes, the sesquiterpenes, the aldehydes, all of those on that specific oil. And so that's what makes doTERRA unique out of all of the oil companies in the world, because of their truthfulness, their candor, and their transparency, which is truly transparent. Whereas I remember hearing the previous president saying, we're going to have the most transparent presidency in the world, and that never happened. That was a big sham, so I'm very disappointed.
Oh, yes, it was.
But,
wow.
You got to stay positive.
Yeah, right.
All right, so can we talk about the oil of the day?
We need to do that. What is the oil? Well, actually, the oil of the week. What is the oil of the week, Leon?
It is frankincense.
All right.
Now, yes, sir. But people know it as Boswellia acid. That's the scientific name, and there's also 3 different species called Boswellia cartieri, Boswellia friana, and Boswellia sacra. And those 3 trees grow in the Red Sea area, Oman, Eritrea, Somalia area, and the northeast part of Africa. And so it's produced by a. They've done this for thousands of years, in which they will scrape the bark on these trees, and then the bark bleeds, or the resin or sap drips down. They call them tears of frankincense. And so they wait till they dry to a certain level, then they chip off those tears, and they collect them and they bring them back to the area where they store them. And they get stored from anywhere from 6 months to years, and they have to dry out and get to a certain level of desiccation before they can actually process them.
Right.
Now, the there are so many benefits from frankincense. If you're ever at loss for what oil to use, you can apply frankincense. It's the one that if you don't know what to do and you don't have a book, you can apply it. Some of the actions that frankincense will encourage are they're anti-inflammatory, antiseptic. They are cytophylactic, digestive, diuretic, sedative, tonic, uterine, and they're also antibacterial for that matter. So these have so many benefits. The other one, there are documented cases where frankincense is able to stop cancers and tumors. And so those are available to see those specific studies are on PubMed.org. PubMed, PubMed.org. Now, Dr. Hill had even written a book. This is his very first volume. It's called Frankincense by Dr. Hill, The Essential Oil Library, Volume 1, that shows you how important this oil is. And so there are terpenes, terpenoids, and sesquiterpenes, and several other. There's over 650 known components of frankincense, one of the largest of any group. The only one that surpasses it that I know of right now is vetiver, and that has 1,400. It doesn't have all these other. Yes, sir.
Amazing. Hold that thought, Leon. We have a break. Call number is 800-313-9443. We'll be right back. Gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. Thank you. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 28th of November, visiting with Leon Green. And yes, we're talking about doTERRA essential oils, the purest therapeutic grade oils that money can buy. I work with a number of doctors, both MDs and DCs, and they've incorporated oils in the essential oils into their practice. They each did their own independent research and study of all the available essential oils out there. And after their own, and these doctors don't know each other, by the way, after their own independent research and study, they all decided to incorporate doTERRA essential oils into their practices, having learned that they were the purest therapeutic grade oils that money could buy. And that's a very strong endorsement there, isn't it, Leon? Absolutely.
We have 2 Harvard-trained surgeons that work with doTERRA, and one of them also went to MIT. So when they're doing surgeries, they found that they are more effective pre- and post-op in in calming the person down because they know they're going under the knife, so they use less anesthesia, therefore less side effects, and they find that they don't have infections like they do with the typical drugs. So one of them works on the mouth, orthodontic. So he's doing reconstructive surgery when people get in car accidents and their jaw is completely busted, and he's doing he's doing all of the surgery, but when he applies On Guard and several other oils, he doesn't have the incumbent infections because the mouth is the dirtiest orifice in the body, and by using the oils, he's able to finish the surgery without any complications, unlike the others where they're on IV drips for weeks, and most of them will get the Candida albicans mold or yeast because they've killed all the probiotics, or they've killed all the flora in the gut. And so these two doctors, along with hundreds of other doctors that we're working with, have found out their efficacy in medical applications. That's why they endorse doTERRA, and that's why they only work with doTERRA. So yes, I agree with you, your doctors and others, and how they have seen the effectiveness of it.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. And I encourage everybody to do their own homework. Do your own research. Don't just take my word for it. Do your own independent research. And I have a high level of confidence you'll come to the same conclusion that I've come to, that Leon's come to, the doctors that I work with have come to, that when it comes to essential oils, doTERRA is the purest therapeutic grade essential oils that you can get your hands on. And there's not quite 90 oils right now, 88, 89?
Yes, it's in the 90s. I don't know the exact number.
In the 90s,
and they're always adding new oils, and there have been times which, I've opened up a package and like, oh, this is a brand new one. I'm like, what? It's a blend. And, they have the Holiday Joy. And so with all these add-ons, I can't give you the precise number, but they're always discovering and making new blends that are effective in many capacities, like the emotional and in yoga, they came out with one specifically for relaxation and calming. So, and let me finish the frankincense before the bottom of the hour break. And so with terpenes, thank you. So terpenes are carbon-based chains that naturally occur, and almost all of the oils have terpenes. And so terpenes, they possess antibacterial, antiviral, antiseptic properties along with others, and they protect the cells and promote natural cellular growth. And back in the late 1800s, scientist Robert Koch made an important discovery when he received the Nobel Prize in Medicine when he had discovered anthrax bacillus, the bacteria that does that. And as important as that was, it was overshadowed a few years later when he found out, Dr. Koch found out that monoterpenes in essential oils effectively destroy anthrax. But you don't hear that.
No.
Yes, sir.
You don't hear it at all. Well, I find that rather alarming that something that effective is not known. That's very disturbing, actually.
Yes, sir. This is written by Dr. Bill. I'll send you the information on it so you can see the book. Now, sesquiterpenes are multiple block chains of the carbon molecules. And so frankincense, cedarwood, ginger, myrrh, ylang-ylang all contain high levels of sesquiterpenes. Now, these chains are so sophisticated that they're able to penetrate the blood-brain barrier, which there are very few items that are able to do that. And so it can stimulate the limbic system of the brain and affect the hypothalamus, the pineal, and the pituitary glands. They have demonstrated anti-cancerous capabilities by inhibiting the inflammatory response, preventing metastasis, and inducing apoptosis of unhealthy cells. Sesquiterpenes also possess...
Hold that thought. We got a break. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back. Let's jump on back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 28th of November. Our project of locating images of continents with new coastlines continues to move forward. It's been a lot of fun this year, finding all these images, getting them posted. It's waking up a lot of people. It is. These images go back more than 60 years, back to the mid-50s, by the way. Images of continents with new coastlines and TV shows and movies. Keep a sharp eye out. A lot of people during these holiday season like to watch movies and TV shows. If you find one, get that screen capture to me. You get your choice of any of my 5 DVDs as a thank you. It's a fun project. Also, my website, of course, are energy cleaners. This is my home business. When you place your order, I'm the guy that boxes them up and ships them from the Little Country Post Office in Cherryville, Missouri, where they have an all-you-can-eat catfish buffet on Fridays with a beverage for less than $10. How about that? When you make your decision to buy a mattress pad, I'm the guy that reconfigures them. I'm waiting on shipment right now. We got behind with this big sale. I reconfigure the mattress pads, I pack them up, and I ship them personally. The energy cleaner is only $285, shipping included to American zip codes. If you have pain issues or sleep issues, it will probably help. Keep in mind, I offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. So place your order at my website at thelibertyman.com using PayPal. Most secure way to make any payment online. PayPal now takes payments, by the way, if you live inside the United States. Checks can be sent to my address at thelibertyman.com. I have a toll-free order line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. We're talking to Leon Green about doTERRA essential oils, a great way to help you have the fun, full, happy, pain-free, productive life that we all want to have. Now, if you think you can continue having pizza, beer, and ice cream as the 3 main food groups and be healthy using doTERRA, well, that's not going to work, is it, Leon?
Absolutely not.
It won't. It won't. So there's going to have to be dietary changes, exercise changes, attitude changes, educational and reading changes to educate yourself. All these things combine to have and achieve the goal that people want to achieve. Right, Lynn?
Absolutely. And to finish up on the last part of frankincense, I mean, the advantages of the oils, they can help you physically, spiritually, and emotionally. So there are so many different benefits. And you can use them now as compared to waiting till, if emergencies occur and you can't get access to the pharmaceutical drugs. So now is the best time to acquire them. And one thing that makes because cancer is so prevalent in American society, 1 in 2 men will get it diagnosed with cancer in America, and 1 in 3 women. So it will definitely affect somebody you know or yourself directly. And so I get many calls weekly about cancer and the application. So sesquiterpenes possess considerable anti-inflammatory activity by inhibiting the activation of NF-kappa B proteins, which are persistently active in a number of disease states including cancer, arthritis, chronic inflammation, asthma, neurodegenerative diseases, and heart disease. What makes these sesquiterpenes so effective is that they're able to provided additional protection to ensure that unwanted toxins and pathogens have limited and preferably no access to the central nervous system. So there's many other oils that are or many other properties that the frankincense have, but some of them are aldehydes, esters, ketones. Now these are specific components in the oils. But what makes frankincense unique is it has 78% monoterpenes, which is mainly made up of alpha-pinene. Now, so that is an organic compound in the terpene class. Suffice to say that it is highly effective for things like seizures. There used to be a video online, and I still have a copy of it when I first got started, in which this little girl was doped up on, she would have 20 to 25 seizures a day. And when her mother found out about frankincense and several other oils, they were able to drop those seizures so that from 25 a day down to 1 or 2 a month. And so it was that effective. And she was only 4 years old, and she was taking all these pharmaceutical drugs, and it started affecting her speech, and she was withdrawn. It had so many detrimental effects. So something as simple as frankincense was able to pretty much save this girl's life because of how effective it was. The mother could not do anything. She had to pretty much be tied to her daughter. No vacations. School was very difficult. So frankincense is a phenomenal oil. There's so much more.
It is.
So
the oil of the week. So many,
yes, sir. And it's called Frankincense by Dr. David Hill. And that's volume 1 if anyone's interested in it. And it has over 100 pages, so it's much more scientific than I can get into now, but it is a very insightful oil. If you don't know which oil to reach for, you can take frankincense. You can do it under your tongue. Yes, sir. You can do it sublingually. You can put it on your wrist. You can put it in a gel cap, or you can put it on the bottom of your feet and still get benefits. So it has, for people who are dealing with some of those issues we've talked about, the nervous issues, frankincense is a go-to oil specific.
Amazing. Well, Leon, you make yourself available for private consultations at your office telephone number. And what is that office telephone number?
303-495-2188.
Okay, 303-495-2188. It's Mountain Time. Call Leon, make an appointment, and he will give you personal coaching and advice on how to incorporate the doTERRA oils to achieve your goal. I understand people don't want to discuss their private health concerns on the radio, and that's understandable. I know this past Sunday at my church, the pastor mentioned 2 people who had health concerns. They didn't want their names mentioned, but they were requesting prayer from the congregation. And, of course, he respected that request and kept their names anonymous. And that's frequently the case. People don't want their private health concerns discussed publicly. And, of course, anything that is discussed with you is done in confidence, isn't it, Leon?
Absolutely. It's just like HIPAA. It's all between you and I. And I always like it when people can come to me with a diagnosis, because a lot of times people will say I have general malaise, and then that really becomes, trying to do diagnosis over the phone. Whereas if they've already been to a medical practitioner and they have a professional diagnosis, better yet, multiple diagnoses of that specific issue, then we can narrow it down and we can find out find out which would be best for you. But it is much faster and much simpler if we have a diagnosis.
Absolutely. Well, all we can do is make the offer to people here, Leon. We can tell them that we use them in our personal lives, like I do, you do, my wife, Dr. Moore, does, many other people I know. And then it's their decision whether they follow up with action or continue to procrastinate. Right, Leon?
So if you can take advantage of that 20% off sale that's going on, the first time it's ever happened with doTERRA. I would definitely recommend they do it now. We only have 3 days left, and then it's going to be gone. So, you hear the buy one, get one. They do that twice a year. This is the first time it's ever happened in 11 years. So it's definitely something to take advantage of. And it's actually added on now, in which you get $1,000. The equivalent of having taking that 4-day course. If you went out the front side on your own and walked up to the gate and said, "Hi, I want to take this class," after they do the background check on you to verify they're not teaching paddocks and MS-13s and everybody else, what happens is then you'd pay for that 4-day course is $2,000. So we're actually giving that away as an incentive for you to be healthier. And if your goal is just to buy the oils and stick them in an ammo can and bury them, that's totally your choice. But I'd highly recommend you actually get the benefits from them now, especially if you're taking pharmaceutical drugs. And we can even the vast majority of the kits we're talking about will be able to address some sector of your disease or some of the symptoms or issues.
Right. Well, Leon, I don't know if you're aware, but my alert yesterday had to do with my newfound belief that the Obama administration is stopping the EMP Commission's recommendations from being implemented to protect the national power grid was not a matter of inadvertent dealings in Washington, D.C., rather a matter of design and intent to stop the EMP Commission's recommendations from being implemented, meaning they're setting us up for an EMP attack to be successful. If or when that happens, access to pharmaceutical products will be almost non-existent, won't Leon?
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. I mean, after a simple hurricane of Irma and Harvey, those people didn't have medical supplies and mail coming in, and UPS and FedEx. Florida didn't have it for almost a month. And Puerto Rico is still impacted now, and that's happened months ago. Some people are still in the dark. So for people to think that, this would be an EMP in America, and everything will be back to normal after a couple of weeks, we can't even deal with one isolated, localized hurricane in a territory and a state. How do you expect to handle 50 states and all the calamity that's going to be attached to that?
That's right. That's right. So right now, while things are normal, it would be a good time to incrementally, one at a time, wean yourself off expensive, harmful, dangerous pharmaceutical products that are just masking the symptoms and not going to the actual cause. And get yourself off those things and substitute doTERRA essential oils while we have what appears to be luxury time, and while you can do it one at a time as opposed to going cold turkey off 5 or 6 or 7 pharmaceutical products all at once. That would be a difficult thing for people to do, wouldn't it, Leon?
Yes, sir. Absolutely difficult. And if you're thinking, I'm just going to skate into, a crisis with all these physical problems, and when you're taking these drugs, there's also psychological impacts too. I mean, I'm not talking about the damage from the liver. We're talking about Oxycontin, oxycodone, and all the opiate families. Anybody who's taking those pain relievers, those merely mask it. They're highly dependent, and those people who have those issues, many of them will become suicidal. And this is when they have access to it. If they go cold turkey, the suicide rate attached to this, there's over 25,000 deaths attached to opiate-related drugs in America alone. And it got so bad, the governor of New Jersey got with the medical community and put a cap on it. He introduced a law last year saying, this is the max you can do, period. We don't care about, and so people are going to get creative and go across the border. But in the case of a EMP, where there is no border and you can't walk to Mexico or go to Canada to go pick up these drugs, you're going to be out of luck. And now you're trying to shelter in place. Things will be very, very disturbing. And so,
right.
People procrastinate a lot, but we're running out of time.
Well, timing is always a big question, and we don't know how much time we have. It may be a complete illusion thinking we have even a year. That could be a complete illusion. But that doesn't mean to sit there and do nothing. It means to take action now and do what you can now. Right, Leon?
Yes, sir. And I'm not trying to scare people. And I think about it in regard to, Noah, it took him 120 years to build the ark. So time is of the essence. Start now. And like John always, he gives you the proper tip of the day. And so do you even have a calendar next year for training? And even if you have people locally, I'm not saying if you have the capacity, and talking about that, Spirit Airlines had up to 90% off flight tickets. So for people who may want to fly in, you can get into Pahrump very inexpensively. Actually, probably the cost of the rental car would be cheaper than the flight. That's how it's 45 minutes away. But I saw some that were like $25 from Denver to Vegas. And I typically fly because I bring so many toys and so much ammo. But you can always fly in, and if you take advantage of the Natural Solutions Kit, get the gun certificate, and then you can just use. They have guns. They have guns and the ammo there that you can actually use. So the smartest thing to do now is take action, because it is going to be crucial.
Absolutely. Well, wake up and smell the coffee here, ladies and gentlemen. We're trying to help you here. It's your choice to accept the help and move forward or not. As the old saying goes, Lynn, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Well, this is your opportunity to take a drink, a drink of health and wellness, and the opportunity to get yourself off harmful, expensive, dangerous pharmaceutical products. It's scary. The amounts of pharmaceutical products consumed in this country is scary from a lot of perspectives. And the opioids, like you mentioned, are killing people. We're losing as many people every year as 25,000 or 50,000. What is it? We're losing every year.
Yeah, CDC say last year it was 26,000. But on average, it's 25K is what they lose just from opiate addiction and the complications.
Right. Well, that's half the total numbers of losses of life in the Vietnam War, which was just over 50,000. So, and of course that was 10 years long, the Vietnam War. So these are horrendous numbers, and they don't need to be that way. The doTERRA essential oils can cause no harm and achieve the same goals as the harmful, expensive, dangerous pharmaceutical products. It sounds like a win-win situation, doesn't it, Land? To me, it does.
Absolutely. When you think about how you want to see propaganda in the mainstream media, I mean, as horrendous as the massacre was in Vegas a month or so ago, they don't talk about how many people die from drugs each year. I mean, collectively, because of that, we're looking at over 500,000 people die from liver toxicity. And this can be cumulative or it can be immediate, and all the impacts from drugs. So if they really wanted to be authentic and truthful, they would say, we need to do something about these drugs. But no, they throw their hands up in the air and say, we have to take away your ability to protect yourself. But we don't care if, a plane of 747 drops out of the sky every day. Over 400 people die every day of drugs and all their problems.
Amazing. What you're saying is a very true statement. Here's our last break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back here more here on Tuesday, the 28th of November. We're encouraging all of you to please consider getting yourself healthier, having more energy, less pain, getting yourself off the pharmaceutical products. And if you act the next 3 days before midnight Thursday, you can participate in doTERRA's special, that they've never done before. We don't know if they'll ever do it again. And get yourself a $2,000 rifle or shotgun or pistol class, courtesy of Leon Green and myself. Let's summarize what we're offering here, Leon, before we get away.
Yes. So in essence, if you get the Home Essentials kit, then you will get one of the 4-day certificates for handgun, rifle, or shotgun. If you get the Natural Solutions kit or above, you will get 2 of those. So you have an option to take somebody with you or take 2 different classes back to back, or however you can schedule it. And there's some larger kits as well. So there's the Every Oil kit, which is all 90 plus oils. And then there's also the Diamond kit, which has everything doTERRA produces, period. So, but if anybody gets one of those oils, one of the oil kits, contact me directly, and I will definitely reward you comparably. So it is a great way to save 20%, get a certificate or 2, and if you don't have a specific platform, or if you want to try a platform for free, I will give you that with the Natural Solutions kit and above. So the Home Essentials kit is $275. That includes the 10 oils, the 10 basic oils, and a free diffuser. Whereas the Natural Solutions kit has 16 oils, has a diffuser, and has 9 other products by doTERRA. So the Deep Blue Rub, the toothpaste that doesn't have fluoride in it, and so there's so many benefits with that. And with that one, you get 2 of the certificates, and along with a optional gun certificate. So if you don't have a platform, you can use that. So I highly encourage you to try the oil.
I do also. Buy the oils, get the certificates, and life will be grand, won't
it? And if you get a chance to go out and do some training, yes. Because right now I'm also doing some medical training. I'm going to be booking one in March. It's combat medic with Dark Angel Medical. A fantastic teacher, Kerry Davis, and he was a PJ in the Air Force, and so he shot on the way in, scooped up our soldiers, and shot while he was doing medical attention, and shoots on the way out. So that's how hardcore he is, and he's out of Colorado. But I travel all over America to get training. That's superb, and I recommend others do.
Absolutely, I do as well. Leon, I don't want to be cut off by the music here. I want to thank you for being with us as always, sir, and I look forward to having you back next Tuesday.
Sounds good. Take care. God bless.
Okay, thank you, sir. It's always fun visiting with Leon Green. I need to find out when his contract expires so I can recruit him for my team. And in a way I'm kidding, but in a way I'm not. Yes. That's it for the day. Get your medical supplies, your energy cleaner, your essential oils now while you can, your firearms and ammunition. Never ever give up your guns. Please do have a fun, safe, productive day. And God bless America.